Welcome to another special edition of Daily Airline News. I'm Jeffrey Thomas, and of course, we're focusing on the MH370 search, which is now day three. And I'm delighted to say, once again, I'm joined by UK aerospace engineer Richard Godfrey from Germany. Um, Welcome, Richard.
Hello.
And today, again, we're going to follow up after Richard's rundown of the search and the position reports. We're going to also address a few more questions that were given to us overnight by quite a few of you. So, without further ado, Richard, perhaps you can bring us up to date with the latest positioning of Armada 7806 and its search.
Yes, Armada 7806 is still in the area around the IG high priority point. It's, as you mentioned, now well into day three, starting soon day four of the operation. It's in waters of around 4,600 meters deep, and it's going backwards and forwards across the seventh arc. So they're making good progress. I guess they've covered or are about to cover an area of around 3,200 square kilometers.
So, how is the weather looking out there at the moment? Because we've got that cyclone, I think it's Bianca, coming down the
Yeah.
coast of Western Australia.
Yeah, the weather in the search area is fine at the moment.
Good.
The wind has died down, but the wave height is still 2.1 meters, so it's a reasonable sea state. It's not impossible, and it's obviously not hindering operations. But as you mentioned, there's a tropical cyclone Bianca, which is coming down the coast of Western Australia. There's another tropical cyclone, Galance, which is over towards Madagascar on the other side. And it looks like there's a cyclone developing much further south, coming up from the Antarctic regions. So we'll keep an eye on the weather.
So, can you give us a bit more clarity on the exact search pattern of Armada 7806?
Yes, it is going east to west, a length of about 80 kilometers uh, across the seventh arc, across the area which was looked at by Go Phoenix in 2014, and Ocean Infinity was Seabed Constructor in 2018. They're doing a very methodical job of covering this new search area.
So, you've done a graph for us, Richard, which gives the fine detail of exactly what's going on. Perhaps you can talk to that for us.
Yeah, the focus is on uh, the possibility that MH370 was missed in previous searches. So they're doing a very careful review of those previous search areas. If you track the Armada 7806 very carefully, you will see it's now stopped 10 times. It's very interesting for me when the ship stops for 45 minutes or an hour in a particular location, because I then suspect there might be an AUV launch, or later on an AUV recovery. It looks to me like there are four AUVs in operation,
Mm-hmm.
which is one more than the max we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the pattern, I think, in the next couple of days will reveal exactly how many, because they launched two AUVs immediately. They're now starting to recover those AUVs. The first AUV, I think, is being recovered as we speak.
Okay, so now we've also learnt that 7806 will be off to Fremantle, my home port, on the third. Well, it's due to arrive in Fremantle, I think, on the 5th. So it'll be leaving
Yeah,
the search area a few days before that. Is that correct?
that's correct. It's arriving very early in the morning, 5:30 local time is when it's expected on the 5th of March in Fremantle.
Mm.
It's will take about 4.6 days for the transit from the current search area. So I expect Armada 7806 to leave the search area some point on Friday evening or early Saturday morning.
So, given that, they probably won't have an opportunity to go to the other hotspot in the same area, the Blely Marchand hotspot.
No, but Ocean Infinity are not in a rush. They want to do a
Mm.
thorough job.
Yep.
I think they will almost have completed their current hotspot and the area where the view is that MH370 might have been missed. And I think when they come back, they will then go to the hotspot from Captain Patrick Blely and Jean-Luc Machin and check that area out.
Yes. Now, I also note that on the data relating to the call at Fremantle, it'll leave the next day, and the destination is listed as Fremantle again. So it's clearly staying in the area, which is good, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Now let's move on to some viewer questions, and we're talking about the hotspots, and quite a few have asked for a little bit more detail, if we can, or if you can, about why these hotspots were chosen for this particular search. If you can give us a little bit more clarity on that, Richard.
Yeah, back in March 2024, Ocean Infinity presented us a slide at the Remembrance event of with the next of kin, and that slide gives a summary of the experts that they had asked, and that included several universities and several groups and individuals. We're showing, I think, the slide at the moment where
Mm.
you can see the different universities, the independent group, Captain Blely and Jean-Luc Machin, myself. Um, and then there was a meeting in May last year where Ocean Infinity made their proposal to the Malaysian authorities. And at that meeting, they had um, invited two external um, experts, um, Pete Foley, who formerly managed the search for ATSB in the for MH370, and Professor Simon Maskell from Liverpool University, who acted as a scientific advisor. So it's these group of advisors and experts that have helped Ocean Infinity. Of course, they have their own experts and their own data. Much of the data tracking from 2018 has been gone through and checked for any possible points where MH370 might have been missed. So there's a whole group of experts from both Ocean Infinity and elsewhere who are helping to define these search strategy and the hotspots.
And of course, some of these hotspots they've had a look at before. In the case of yours is new since 2018, the last time they searched, and a lot of your whisper area is outside the previous search. Just part of it is in the search, most of it's outside the search, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So the overall strategy is let's check we haven't missed it before. And if we still haven't found MH370, let's look at some new high priority areas.
One of the ones that keeps coming up, Richard, is Diego Garcia. A lot of folks are very much focused on that. Any thoughts on why that is not on the agenda anymore, or if it ever was?
Well, the US have a very large base in Diego Garcia. It's a relatively small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, but it has a full naval base and a full airport and contingent of Air Force aircraft. They also have radar systems and also acoustic systems which check whether there are any sound waves coming through the water and can be received at Diego Garcia. However, the Inmarsat satellite data we have for MH370 distinctly shows that the aircraft did not um, go close to Diego Garcia. In fact, it went in the opposite direction, much further south into the southern Indian Ocean, and kept, relatively speaking, closer to Australia than it did to Diego Garcia.
And another one just north of Diego Garcia, of course, we've got the Maldives, and a lot of play was made, or a lot of news covered the sighting by a young lad of what he thought was the Malaysian 777. Perhaps you can talk to that particular sighting and what we then found out.
Yes, a number of individuals spotted a plane that looked like it could be MH370 in the Maldives. However, um, the young gentleman who was on his way to school, who announced what he had seen, was probably absolutely correct. A member of the independent group, Don Thompson, did some investigation and discovered that there was a Boeing 777 from Saudi Arabian Airlines with members of the Saudi royal family on board. And he found out that that aircraft was doing a tour of the Maldives prior to landing there, and obviously there were some people taking a holiday in the Maldive area.
Perhaps they're looking at for some real estate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
although the problem with the Maldives is a lot of it is only just a few meters above sea level,
yes, indeed.
and your
One of
real estate might disappear at some
Yes,
point.
indeed, indeed. Although back in 2014, it wasn't such a thing, was it? But one of the questions that come up from quite a few people is related to the AUVs, Richard. Can the AUV see through the layer of silt on the bottom to detect metal?
Yeah, the AUV has a magnetometer on board, which can sense any variation in the magnetic field. So it's calibrated and aware what the Earth's magnetic field is locally, and it can detect a very subtle difference in that magnetic field, which may indicate the presence of metal, and it can do that even if the metal is covered with silt or volcanic ash.
Mhm.
So I'm very hopeful that some of the main parts of the wreckage, like engine cores or the landing gear, which
Mm.
represent quite a substantial piece of metal, will be detectable and found.
Look, indeed, absolutely. So, viewers, thank you for listening again, and thank you for all your fabulous feedback and encouragement, and thank you for your questions. Thank you, Richard, for once again giving us a fantastic presentation on the state of the search. And viewers, please subscribe to us, please like us, please do leave your comments. They are fantastic. And do tune in tomorrow when we'll bring you another update on the progress of the MH370 search.